Humble the Poet, How to Be Loved. Simple truths for going easier on yourself, embracing imperfection, and loving your way to a better life. Humble the Poet is many things. An artist, a rapper, a poet, an author, a former school teacher, and a Canadian Punjabi. But there's one thing he's not: a relationship expert. In fact, just a few weeks before he started writing his guide on love, he went through a terrible breakup with his now ex-fiancée. So why should you care about his advice on love? Well, because love isn't a destination. It's a path. It requires you to keep moving, even after you discover you've jogged down a dead end. So who better to guide you on this path than someone who's taken a few wrong turns himself?
Before we begin, we publish new content every week, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about the latest extracts. Our videos can be a bit longer sometimes because we never compromise on the content of the book and video. Therefore, it's important to watch the video till the end. Let's get started.
Love isn't a noun, it's a verb. In books and movies, love is often the end. The girl gets the boy, the family is reunited, the best friends finally get married. These are happy endings, sure, but they still leave people with nowhere to go. Love is viewed as the ultimate goal. But then what? In real life, too, we've come to treat love like it's the finish line of a race. To be honest, that's how we treat most things related to our happiness. Once we can get over this imagined finish line, whether that's landing our dream job or finding a partner, we think we'll finally be happy. And if we're not there yet, we tell ourselves it's because we haven't done enough, or worse, because we still aren't enough. Psychologist Robert Holden calls this destination addiction. But love, like happiness, isn't a destination. It's a path. Once you start doing love instead of chasing it down, you'll realize that it's everywhere around you. There's small L love, like our love for ice cream or football games. And then there's big L love, like our love for our grandma's wrinkly hands or our partner's silly laugh. It's important to distinguish the two because you don't want to mistake one for the other. Small L love is like a delicious little treat. It's all about pleasure and immediate gratification, and it doesn't take a lot of effort to acquire. But big L love is the nutritious meal that everyone is hungry for. It's the kind of love that feels deep and life-changing, and that gives you peace and connection. Big L love is what you should aim for in your relationship with yourself, your family, and your partner. But big L love is no happily ever after. It's more of a happily continuing to work on it. Big L love takes a regular, deliberate, and ongoing effort to sustain. For example, it requires honest communication with yourself and others. What do you really want? How can you meet your needs? And how can your partner help meet them? Don't wait for your partner to stumble upon the answer. That just leads to frustration and resentment. If you love someone, tell them how you want to be loved. And more importantly, make a conscious effort to love your partner how they want to be loved, because you'll only feel as much love as you give. To receive more love, start giving more. Think about the people you love most in your life: your partner, your mom, your best friend, whoever it may be. Now consider this. You don't really love them. What? You heard right. Our concept of loving someone suggests that love is like a telephone line from A to B. It implies that your love can only reach a specific person and that the call only gets through when they pick up the phone. But remember what it's like to be freshly in love? Those feelings of euphoria, excitement, and giddiness aren't caused by or limited to a specific person. The love comes from deep within you, and it spills all over the place. That's also why you can feel love for people that are no longer with you. Love isn't a telephone line. It's an ocean. So rather than thinking of people as causes for your love, you should think of them as access points to the love that's all around you. It's up to you to access it. Different people can show you different pathways to love, but you still have to walk them yourself. This means that if you want to receive more love, you have to practice accessing it. And that starts right at home, by learning how to love yourself. The golden rule for loving yourself is very simple. Treat yourself like you would treat your best friend. This means pushing yourself hard to achieve your goals, but reminding yourself to rest when it gets too much. It means forgiving yourself for the mistakes of the past and working to be better in the future. It means checking in with yourself and standing up for yourself when your boundaries are being crossed. But it also means calling yourself out on your own bullshit. You get the point. Your relationship with yourself should be the biggest priority in your life. This has nothing to do with being selfish. Truly selfish people expect other people to meet their every need. When you practice self-love, you learn to meet your needs yourself. This allows you to be more generous with people, not less. On top of that, the way you love yourself can become a template for how to love others. You can practice principles such as active listening, forgiveness, and attunement on yourself, and then apply them to others. If you feel more love, you have more love to give. And if you give more love, you'll feel more love being returned. It's a virtuous cycle. Love means honesty with yourself and with others. All of us have secrets. According to a Columbia study, the average person holds on to about a dozen. Half of those secrets they've never shared with anyone. Now, having secrets isn't a fault in itself. There are, no doubt, some things that you're simply not ready to share with the world, but holding on to something that no one else knows can have serious emotional downsides. It can make you feel guilty, anxious, and paranoid. Most importantly, it makes you feel alone. All of these feelings block your access to love. It's true. Love feeds on honesty. That doesn't mean you have to climb onto the roof and shout out your deepest, darkest secrets, but it does mean being honest with yourself. That requires recognizing when you're feeding your ego instead of your soul. Most people are experts at denying, rationalizing, projecting, overgeneralizing, and avoiding reality to protect their egos, but your ego often ends up getting in the way of love. It craves delicious small L treats, such as attention, likes, and followers, and overlooks what really nourishes you. Here's an example. Being a vegan is an act of love, but endlessly telling people you're a vegan is an act of ego. Love is so powerful because it dissolves your ego. It makes you think we rather than I. But the bigger you let your delusional, irrational, and impulsive ego get, the harder it is to dissolve, and the harder it becomes to access big L love. Being honest also means living according to your values. If you have a hard time identifying those, ask yourself this: who are the people you admire most? And what do they have in common? It could be that they're radically honest, deeply committed to justice, or simply don't care what other people think of them. Being honest also means that some people aren't going to like you. That's just a fact. There are way too many people out there to please. Back in the day of hunter-gatherers, being rejected by your fellow humans meant near certain death. That's why it stings so badly today, still. But today, rejection won't kill you. If you have to choose whether you want to compromise on yourself or on others, consider that you have to live with yourself every single day. Now, does being honest mean telling your best friend you hate their new haircut? Probably not. Sometimes it's okay to tell a white lie to protect a loved one's feelings. But when it comes to your own deepest, darkest secrets, consider that every one of them is a little bit of weight on your shoulders. If you can get them out to just one person, and that could be a professional like a therapist, you'll feel less alone. You'll feel more love, too. Love means loving it all. Everyone knows the vicious little voice that tells them they're not yet good enough to be loved. All they have to do is become perfect, get washboard abs, make six figures, and resolve all of their traumas, and then they'll finally be deserving of love. You see the problem, right? Humble the Poet confirms it. That voice in your head is lying to you. Perfection is the opposite of love. Think about it. How many people you love are perfect? Exactly. Love isn't something you have to earn. Sadly, social media isn't doing a particularly good job of helping everyone remember that. Instead of motivating you to be better, the highlight reels you probably scroll through daily only impede your growth. They make you divide the world into perfect and awful, with no space in between. But in reality, everyone, even your most beloved or begrudged influencer, falls somewhere in the middle. The remedy is to focus on progress. Remind yourself that small steps accumulate into big strides on the journey to becoming a better person, and that perfection itself can never be achieved. This is also a reminder to love people for what they are with all their imperfections, not what you think they could be. If you want to have high expectations, have them for yourself. You'll probably find that you can meet them about half the time. Funny, isn't it? After all, if there's one person that should know what you want and need, it's you. Once again, communication is key. Don't test your partner to see if they remember your birthday. You're only setting yourself up for disappointment. Instead, tell them you want a big chocolate cake for your special day. Remember that everyone expresses love differently. Think about how many people grew up with parents that loved them dearly, but didn't always show their love in the way they wanted. Humble the Poet has a strict mother who rarely expressed pride in him, even when his artistic career finally took off. But when he confronted her about it, he learned that she didn't want to jinx his success by overly praising him. Her religious superstitions read as callousness to her son, but they were actually an act of love. So try to understand the different ways people express love and learn to accept it when it comes your way, whatever form it takes. Pain is a part of love. To live is to suffer, and to find meaning in that suffering. A quote by a Sikh guru? Almost. This nugget of wisdom came from the American rapper DMX, which just goes to show that everyone experiences pain, even successful rappers. Unpleasant feelings are as much a part of life and love as the pleasant ones. Chasing the good ones while trying to duck the bad ones is a fool's errand that often only multiplies your pain. You're better off if you can learn to embrace your unpleasant emotions. Here are some tips on how to do that. First, acknowledge the bad feeling. Try to locate it in your body. Is your heart racing? Are your palms sweaty? Then identify the emotion by naming it out loud, for example. Is it fear? Jealousy? Anger? Accept it and let yourself feel it. Remember that even if you do nothing, the emotion will eventually pass. You can also actively try to let go, perhaps through a physical ritual. Write down what bothers you and then throw it in the ocean. In relationships, too, unpleasant emotions arise. There's conflict, and most probably some arguing, crying, and screaming. But if you honor what you learned previously, being honest with yourself and your partner, listening to them, accepting their imperfections, and knowing how to let go, conflict can be an opportunity to assert yourselves as separate people and negotiate your boundaries. Of course, if you use conflict as an opportunity to assert your dominance, be overly critical, or outright mean to your partner, it's anything but healthy. But even good relationships sometimes need to end. You can't avoid getting your heart broken and breaking hearts. That, too, is a part of love. A yoga teacher once told Humble the Poet a story about a young boy who was walking around his village, showing everyone his heart. His heart was bright, shiny, and new, and he was very proud of it. But then an old man stepped out of the shadows and proclaimed, "This is not a beautiful heart, this is." The old man held out his heart. It was dull, worn, and scared. When the villagers looked at him in confusion, he said that only a used heart is a beautiful heart. So remember, hearts are meant to be used. You might as well use yours for love. The lesson from this blink to Humble the Poet's How to Be Loved is that love is everywhere. You just need to learn to access it. Love isn't a destination, but a path. If you want to find it, you simply have to tune into it. That means practicing it on yourself by being honest, holding yourself accountable, and embracing your progress. It also means giving it away, loving people despite their imperfections, listening to them, and meeting them where they are. If you practice love the verb instead of chasing love the noun, you'll find that you're already surrounded by it.
Got feedback? We'd love to hear from you about our content. Just share your thoughts and book recommendations in the comments section, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about the latest extracts. Thank you and have a great day.